So way back in 2010, a friend and I saw Liming in a tourism brochure, and we went and checked it out, and we found a lot of rock, a lot of potential. We kind of saw the area as a mixture of Indian Creek and Zion, kind of like Indian Creek on steroids. So we decided to talk to the government, the park people, see how they felt about rock climbers coming there and climbing the walls, and they were pretty open to it, and since then have encouraged climbing as a recreational activity in the park. Since then, we've developed nearly 300 pitches of climbing, over 200 routes, pushing in 513 plus. And now we're looking at some possible 514A climbs happening in Liming. Personally, I've developed about 170 of those routes, all the way up into 513. It's been a great experience of exploration and kind of discovering what's possible and impossible for the human experience. I have basically a limitless number of projects going on at one time. Recently, I did the first pre-ascent of a route called Another World. It was originally aided by my friend Dane Schellenberg. I think it was back in 2012 he aided up it. And last year I freed to his original anchor, and then just on this trip we put an extension that puts the route as one pitch up to the base of the roof project that we're calling the Honeycomb Dome project, which is probably going to be a possible 514 climb. The route starts as kind of like a crimpy traverse. You kind of gotta like use your heels and stuff like that because the wall cuts out from underneath you. And when you're done with the traverse, you get established in the actual crack. It's kind of like a lightning bolt that goes down this overhung wall. Very quickly you're met by the crux. It's kind of like an 18-degree overhung 0.75 section. I have to do 2 or 3 moves on overhung ring locks to get up into the tight hands. And then you just kind of got to keep your wits about you and do some tight hand jams on steep terrain up for another 10 meters or so, and then you have a red point crux before the first anchor. Once you get through the first red point crux, you get kind of like a chicken wing rest, kind of like in this off-width section, and then there's kind of like the last crux before the end of the route. You kind of weasel your way up the off-width and get a fairly good finger lock. It's pretty hard to get up into it where you can get the finger lock really good, and then you have to control your body out of the off-width using this one finger lock. I found that to be a fairly difficult move. So it's kind of like one ring lock, and then you cross over, get another ring lock, and then your jams start getting better, and there's a glory hand jam before you get onto the ledge. It's a spectacular 510C.
Ha!
Fucking easy. 510C.
510C.
All right, take.
I first started climbing in China, and I was hanging out in Yangshuo working the summer and fall season, and Mike Dobie came through and he was getting people stoked on the first Liming Trad Festival, and I went out with my climbing partner at the time and we camped in the freezing cold, and that was my first experience with crack climbing and trad climbing in general.
What's it like climbing with Mike?
He's a really good coach. He will push you and not be sympathetic if you want to take. Any more advice?
Try harder. I believe it's just try. Try. Try!
But that's good. He gives really good beta and usually helps me a lot, so that's helpful. Next 2 routes at the Yangshuo Sports Climber Crag. I'm gonna go for the one on the left, I think. Not really sure that's going to be appealing or not. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a roof off with. All right, we'll see how it goes. This last trip, I helped develop a new crag. There's a crag that's like a 10-minute walk from the main road. All right, Mike, how was the first route on the Yangshuo crag?
The Yangshuo Sport Climbers Crag. Yeah, it was really good. A little bit of aid trickery at the start. I think it's kind of like a slot chimney-ish thing that protects fairly well.
And yeah, it's a sweet crag. There's long pitches. The one that I was working was maybe like 38 meters by the time I put the anchor in. And it starts out with like kind of handsy ring locks with good feet, and then there's a traverse, and then it gets pretty steep with like wide hands, fist jams, and a bulgy roof that's probably the crux for me. And then up this like really thin crack at the top, and then you traverse out the roof. And yeah, it's a great climb. Day 2 developing at the new crag, which we're semi-calling the Yangshuo Sport Climbers Crag because of the nice approach. I'm hanging on one line, but some nice hammering under a roof here. Dobie's on another line. Can't really see him right now, but he's on scrub tech duty. Looks like we'll have some good stuff here though. There's sweet, really difficult, maybe rampy finger crack. Oops. Rampy finger crack that comes after a really, really nice, handsy, slightly overhung section. And here's the view from the top. Not too shabby. Over there you can see a new crag. No one's touched it yet. Lots of excitement over here.
I actually came with 5 friends that I met along, and then I met Mike, a bunch of people. It was quite a good crowd over there last year, and we just hung out and climbed for 2 months. I did the second ascent of Air China, which is pretty funny because I knew I wanted to do that climb. Like I've heard of Air China before, and I'd seen a photo of someone climbing a really cool arête, and I knew I wanted to do the arête. I thought Air China was gonna be maybe too hard for me, but I really knew I wanted to do the arête. And then when I got to Liming, I was like looking for the arête, and I couldn't find it. And then I asked Mike one day, I was like, hey Mike, you know what climb this is? He's like, yeah, that's Air China. Yeah, anyways, so I tried it and I did it, and that was pretty cool. So it's this line that you see from town. It's over 70-meter line, and it's really cool. I think the coolest thing about it is you can see from the whole valley, which means it's really wide. Once we got there, we realized that most of it, from the first anchor that Evan placed before up to the 40-meter point, or maybe actually the 50-meter point, is over a size 6 cam. So like it would take like a Valley Giant or Big Bros to protect it. We don't have any. It would have been really nice to do that, but we don't have any, so I placed 5 bolts from the first anchor. There's maybe like 12 meters, 15 meters to the 40-meter point. It has 5 bolts, and then after that you can start placing gear. It goes on for another 30 meters after that, and it goes slowly, goes from like 6 to overhanging 5s, which is pretty cool. And then at the very top, maybe the last like 12 meters or so, it thins out to like hands for a little bit, or fists, hands for a little bit. Then short section of 0.75s and 5s with really good pods, you can still get hand jams. And then the last maybe 15 feet, the crack thins out to 000s, and you have a sloper hand traverse to the left, and then you get like a bit of a better sloper. You get your foot on the rail and you mantle to a pod, and then it's quite spaced out pods, and you do like a little dyno move to like a top hole that's pretty good, and then you can mantle into the black hole and you can clip the chains, which is pretty cool because after like 50 meters of walk width climbing, you get like a little break on overhanging hands. Then you get like some 0.75s, some 5s, and then you get like this boulder move at the end, which I'm pretty stoked on.
What's it like doing battle for 50 meters in a massive off width without brakes?
Takes a while, it leaves some marks, and I don't know, it's pretty cool.
it's been pretty cool going back every season. The first season at the festival, I remember there being a good amount of foreigners
What can you see in there, Raul?
and Chinese climbers. The second festival, I remember there being more Chinese climbers, and this last year there were a lot more Europeans and people who had seen Li Ming in magazines and stuff. So I think it's kind of even more popular, and more people are coming to Li Ming with an interest in development. So it's kind of cool. There's still a lot of potential for new route development, particularly multi-pitches. Yeah.
Nice, man.
The future is bright, definitely.